oftentimes we reflect on what is the greatest reward that we can get from our profession. Sometimes, like our days can be demanding and exacting. And so sometimes we think, oh man, I know I get a paycheck and this is my job. I shouldn't be doing it for the reward. But occasionally, every once in a while, we have an experience in our profession and it reminds us why we do what we do.
I had a young man who was a very, very successful drug dealer in his 20s. And he was arrested, and he was sentenced to a minimum sentence of 3 years and a maximum sentence of life. He was a model prisoner. He was released after the minimum of 3 years. He formed a business with some of his buddies. They rehabilitate houses and either sell them or rent them to Section 8. He's done very, very well. Sometimes I see him because I communicate with him every 6 months or so. And I always tell him that, listen, I probably would have been better off going into the real estate business with you than being a lawyer, because he's doing very, very well. And he has a family now. He's bringing up 2 sons and a daughter. And he said, he's so happy that he's going to have something of value to leave to his sons when they get older and they can get into the family business.
I mean, I've had clients who have participated in treatment court programs and graduated at the other end of it when people really didn't think they were going to be able to do it. It's incredibly rewarding. I've had clients reach out to me, call me, or write me letters after their cases are resolved just to express their gratitude. And it means so much just to know that you were able to have a positive impact on them.
You can't win every case, okay? You can't get every charge dismissed. And that's not the purpose of criminal law. It's not to get everyone off, right? But it's to find a disposition that fits and that works for them. So when you can do that, and when they are fulfilled and they're happy with that disposition, and it's something that they can work with and they can succeed at, like, that's a super huge win, right? That is great, and that it's so fulfilling because everyone's happy at that point.
When you're a prosecutor, you have one client, and that's the people. So in New York, it's the people of the state of New York, and you show up at work every day, and your job is to serve the interests of the people of the state of New York. And I've been lucky to have to work for district attorneys like Robert Morgenthau in Manhattan and Darcel Clark in the Bronx, whose goal is to do the right thing, to do justice, and to do justice in a fair way every day. And a district attorney, because of that mission, gives their assistants freedom to go out and figure out what is the law, what are the facts of this case, and what, in our view, is the right, fair, and just thing to do in any particular case. And having that mission is just an exciting and rewarding mission every day.
The embodiment of my job can be found in the life story of a young man named Jarrell Daniels. I prosecuted Jarrell Daniels in the December of 2012 in part of a gang that was the WTG gang that was operating in the Bronx. And he had committed a very, very serious crime of attempted murder. Later, in one of my capacities as Chief Diversity Officer, I went to a summit that was convened by the NYPD to try to build better understandings around racial disparities and the racial impact of particularly the criminal justice system, but on communities of color. And there was this one young man in the far end of the room that stood up, and he was speaking eloquently and passionately, but eviscerating the NYPD's Operation Crew Cut program, which was designed to try to combat the proliferation of gang violence that had been metastasizing and growing throughout New York City. But he was eviscerating that program, saying that it was building a gang database and putting young black and brown men into databases just so that we could lock them up later indiscriminately. I took issue with that, but I liked his passion. And this young man and I, we walked up to each other and I said, "Hey, how you doing, brother? It's really nice to meet you. I love your passion. I love how you speak with such conviction. I think you got a couple of things wrong, and I'm seeing if I can maybe disabuse you of them. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce myself." And he said, I know who you are. You sent me to jail for 7 years. So I took a step back. And I was like, you have glasses now. You're Jarrell Daniels. And he goes, I am. I have participated in Lucy Lang's Inside Criminal Justice program, which put together 10 Manhattan DAs together with 10 inmates to build and foster better understandings about each other's role in the system, for lack of a better word. Involvement in the system might be a better way of putting it. And to build a better understanding so that we can reduce crime and build better understandings and appreciate the human beings that are at play in the criminal justice system. So of course he was accepted at Columbia University. He eventually would graduate from Columbia University, #1 in his class. I attended his graduation. But in that moment, when he was hitting me with this information, you could hear a pin drop around me from the police department, DA Cyrus Vance, DA Dark. They were just like, what's gonna happen in this moment? And I said, Jarrell, it's great, Columbia, Inside Criminal Justice, what do you want to do with your life? And he goes, I want to finish my education and I want to be a criminal justice reform advocate. I want to make this system better. And I said the only thing that came to mind at the time, I said, how could I help? And I've been helping him ever since. We teach a course together at Justice Ambassadors where we try to change the trajectory of young gang members. We don't oftentimes reveal until the end of the program that I'm the prosecutor that handled his case. But Jarrell will always make the point, if Nigel and I can get together, then you can get together with your rival gang members, and they do. Rivals who were trying to kill each other would car ride together to the program. It's amazing. That's been one of my most rewarding experiences because, people think prosecutors, all we do is lock people up. But again, my focus is always on public safety. And if I could prevent that shooting from happening, if I could prevent crime from happening, I'd much rather go to graduations and weddings than funerals and prison sentences.